Hi, I'm Pandora's Books, and today I'm going to be unhauling a bunch of books so that I have a clean slate for 2026. I've got a hefty pile, as you can see next to me. You can't see the full thing, but I've got a lot that I'm planning on getting rid of, and by getting rid of, I'm going to donate them to a charity shop or maybe our local library. But these are books that either I've already read and didn't like or don't see myself rereading, or they're books that I haven't read and I know, if I'm being honest to myself, I'm never gonna get round to reading them. So I thought, why wait? Let's just get rid of them now and have a fresh, clean slate for my bookshelves for 2026. The first one is The Storied Life of A.J. Thickery. Now this is one of the duplicates that I have. I am yet to read this book still, but I have the American cover, which I prefer a lot more than this one. This one is a sad book, and that's why I haven't gotten around to it yet. It is about a grumpy bookstore owner who ends up having, I think, a 2-year-old show up on his doorstep, and it's just the journey of the two of them figuring out life together, I'm pretty sure. I don't really know the full plot, but I don't want to know. I feel like jumping into it blind is the best way for this book. The second book is Spells for Forgetting by Adrienne Young. I have read this book. It just was average for me, and it also wasn't what I was expecting it to be, hence why I'm getting rid of it. This book is set in a small town where everyone knows everyone's business. A few years back there was a murder, and the dude suspected for the murder left town, and now he's coming back into town and it's causing issues, and it's this murder mystery, kind of very like light thriller, barely thriller. I was expecting more of a magical realism because it spoke about this town having some magic to it, but it just wasn't that. I'm not saying it's a bad book, it just wasn't for me and it didn't live up to what I was expecting from it. Next is The Assistant to the Villain series. I've only got book 1 and 2, and I'm pretty sure there is a third one out, or it's coming out. Either way, I've read the first 2 books. Not for me. The writing's not for me, the story's not for me. Book 2 was really difficult for me to get into. The pacing was just off. If you like this book, I'm happy for you. I wish I liked it. I was really hoping it would be some fun parody of fantasy books, but it wasn't really that. If you don't know what this series is about, we follow this girl who ends up becoming an assistant to the villain in this world. And I can't really remember much else that happens in this book aside from like antics. I know there's this overarching storyline, but book 2, it just got so messy and confusing, or I just wasn't paying attention anymore, but it just wasn't for me, and so I'll be giving these away. Tangled Up in You by Christina Lauren. I love Christina Lauren's books. I've got a few of them. However, I bought this book on a whim because it was on sale, and I've never had the urge to pick it up. I think the moment I clicked purchase, I kind of regretted getting this book. It's been one of those books that I just never gravitate towards to. It is a Tangled retelling, some type of Rapunzel, Flynn Rider dynamic.
Here comes the smolder.
Which sounded good to me at the time, but like I said, I just never pick it up, so there's no point me having it. Next is The Naturals by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. I did like this book. I really loved this book. However, I'm not a thriller person. I am a big wimp. And even though this is YA, it still creeped me out. I had to read it all in one day so that I didn't have to go to sleep not knowing the answers. It follows these group of teenagers that have these special abilities that the FBI recruit them for. One of them's a lie detector, another can read people's body language really well, and they are tasked with solving this cold murder mystery case. And it was really interesting. I really enjoyed it. So if you like thrillers and you like that type of crime murder mystery books, I definitely do recommend this. It just isn't my cup of tea.
Unconscious people don't want tea.
Next, I have Stardust by Neil Gaiman. I read this earlier this year. I wanted to try something different and experiment with reading different types of prose and different authors. The prose was very different in this book, and it was kind of difficult for me to follow along. I had to use the audiobook to help me. I prefer the movie infinitely better than the book, and I'm never going to reread it, and I don't see any point having it on my shelf. Next is A Good Girl's Guide to Murder. This is similar to The Naturals. I loved this book, genuinely found it so interesting. Finished it in one day. One, because it was really interesting. Two, because I could not fall asleep not knowing who the murderer was. But like I said earlier, I am not equipped for murder mysteries. I can do it if it's in a fantasy. I cannot do it when it's set in the contemporary world. And so I'm never going to reread it, never going to finish the series. It was really fun and I did enjoy it, but it's just not for me. Then we've got The Midnight Library by Matt Haig. I read this book years ago. I want to say 2022 time. It was enjoyable, but it definitely is just self-help masked in fiction.
Just as we thought.
It's the curator.
And don't be depressed because you don't know what life could bring you. I have no attachment to it. It didn't feel like it was saying anything. There is no plot. It's essentially just this girl that goes to a library who's very depressed, but she finds herself in this library where she can see all the possible lives that she could live. Very interesting premise, just too self-helpy for my liking. Then we've got Angelica Frankenstein Makes Her Match. Now, when I was picking out these books on what I was going to get rid of, this book originally I had not read it, and I'm going through this phase of picking up books that have been on my shelf for a very long time, in the essence of if I don't read it now, I'll never read it. And this was on my list at Unhaul, and I thought, you know what, if I don't read it now, I'll never read it. So I did read it. I finished it yesterday, finished it all in one day. I did enjoy it. It was a 3 stars for me. It was fun, it was silly. It is Frankenstein fan fiction. Like, this does not take itself seriously. It is just a good, weird, crazy time. I will just keep the memories of this crazy roller coaster in my head, and I don't need it taking up space on my shelf. But if you want a crazy Frankenstein fan fiction, then I recommend it. Next is You and Me on Vacation by Emily Henry. I also read this book a few years ago, maybe 2022 time, and I enjoyed it. I can't really remember much. I remember some scenes here and there, but it didn't really stick with me. It was my first Emily Henry book, my only Emily Henry book actually, and it just hasn't stuck with me enough for me to pick up anything else by her. It is about childhood best friends, or they've been friends for years, that go on vacation every single year, and then they stop doing that because something happened 5 years ago. So you jump back and forth, but dual timelines, which I like. There was a lot of things that I liked in this book. It just wasn't memorable to me. Emily Henry's writing hasn't stuck with me like it has for a lot of other people, it seems. Speaking of Happy Place by Emily Henry, I've had it on my shelf for years, genuinely years. I have not picked it up, have not had the motivation to pick it up. You and Me on Vacation clearly just didn't entice me enough to pick this one up. I think if in the future I want to try Emily Henry's books, I'll just get it on Kindle. There's no point having this on my shelf because I have not itched to pick it up, not once. And whenever it's been on my TBR, I always skip over it. I never end up picking it up. And because it's a summer book, I feel like I can only read it during the summer season. This one can go to someone who is a big Emily Henry fan. Done and Dusted by Lila Sage. Now, I picked this up because I was super excited to read it because it was huge when it came out. It is a cowboy romance about this girl that comes back to her cowboy hometown and ends up falling in love with the bad boy, brother's best friend, which I love that trope. Might be a controversial opinion. This is not a good book to me.
Theo, to me, Theo.
I think this book needed to be edited. What should have been a quick book, because this book isn't very long, took me forever because I just didn't enjoy it. I have read the second book in the series. However, it was on a road trip and me and my fiance normally put on like some silly, spicy book on audio in the car, and we just like laugh at it, at how silly it was, and that was the second book in the series. It's fun and how stupid it is. This book wasn't for me. I love the cover, I love the design of it. I just think it could have been a lot better. and so it was disappointing in that regard. The next is The Very Secret Society of Irregular Witches, and I did like this book a lot.
I like it a lot.
It is about this witch who always follows the rules, hides her magic, is very conservative in a way. She gets invited to teach these little girls at this house in the middle of nowhere, and these are girls that are just coming into their witch abilities, and she ends up falling in love with like he's the librarian at this house. It was cute. It was very magical. I really like the vibe of this. However, I'm not going to reread it, and I'm not going to pick up the second book in the series, so off it goes. But I do highly recommend it to anyone that wants that witchy, cozy, but still has a plot vibe of a book. Next is The Delegate Dream Department Store by Mie Lee. I picked this up because of the cover and the concept. I always feel like both Japanese and Korean translated books have the most amazing premises. This is about a dream department store. So when you go to sleep, you are transported to a department store and you can buy your dreams. You just don't remember that process. It was a really intriguing premise. It was fun. However, it was just loads of small stories, an anthology really, and not really what I was expecting. I don't know, the prose just wasn't for me, and I'm never gonna reread it. It was a quick read, so if you want something fun and whimsical, you could pick this up. Next is What Fury Brings by Trisha Levenseller, and if you've seen my TikTok on this book, I hate this book with a passion. I love Trisha Levenseller. I have loved her books. I was so excited for this book to come out and for me to read this, and the disappointment. It's ruined her books for me, and I hate to say that because I genuinely loved her books. This book is an attempt at feminine rage and just reversing the patriarchy. The attempt that this book had on feminism, feminine rage, what the patriarchy is, what a world will be like if that was reversed and women were in power. It's just a crazy book. It is set in this world where women are the superior. They are stronger than men, better than men.
Equal pay for men and women.
No time for jokes, Batgirl.
And essentially men are their slaves in this world, and we follow this main character who wants to be queen, and to secure herself as queen, she goes to this opposing enemy country and steals their prince. And in this enemy land, like, the patriarchy is normal. She steals this guy, treats him like her slave, dominates him, forces him to do stuff against his will. But also we have to believe that he will fall in love with her when it's genuinely just Stockholm syndrome. What happens in this book is absolutely crazy and icky, and I did not like it, and now my viewpoint of this author has changed. After reading this book, I reread The Shadows Between Us, which I gave a 5 stars when I read it years ago. Reread it and I was like, oh, well, it's alright. It had gone down, unfortunately for me, and then I read the second book in that series, The Darkness Within Us, and that very much felt like an earlier version of this, a YA version, more mellowed down version of this. Not to say that in The Darkness Within Us there's treating men like slaves or whatnot. It was a very surface level message, nothing nuanced about it.
So hot when she says these big words.
And then she just took that, went to the extreme and ran with it in this adult book, and it was just a very uncomfortable read, and so I am getting rid of it. I don't want it on my shelf anymore. It is not for me and not in this household, and I'm sorry if you've read this book and you love it. It did not live up to what I was expecting from Trisha Levenseller. Next we have Teddy by Emily Dunley. I picked this up in Sainsbury's, I believe, because I love the cover and it had that very Hollywood glam 40s 50s, 60s vibe. It follows this American girl who marries this man who is in like politics in Rome, and she's hoping for a fresh start to life because she's got some secrets from home. She just ends up getting caught up in this political scandal and pictures of her kissing some political guy gets threatened to be leaked. It sounded intriguing, however, this book felt like an outline. For every 3 pages of interest, there was 30 pages of just nothing, and it was boring. It just didn't feel like a fleshed out book, and it was disappointing because I feel like the premise is there. And then the final book on this stack is On the Rooftop by Margaret Wilkinson Sexton. I still find the premise of this very interesting, but I never reach for it, and that is the issue. I haven't read it yet. I don't think I'm ever gonna read it. Whenever I pick it up, I'm like, oh yeah, this premise is interesting. It sounds like it will be my thing. And then I never actually pick it up. It's been on my shelf for a very long time now, and I just don't think, if I'm being honest with myself, I'm ever gonna pick it up. It follows these 3 sisters who are in their own jazz band, the hottest jazz band in San Francisco. They receive a once-in-a-lifetime offer by a big up talent manager, and they take it, and it just follows these 3 sisters' journey as they become the hottest jazz band. So that is all the books that I'm unhauling. It is, for me, a big pile. I'm sure there are people that are unhauling hundreds of books. I don't own hundreds and hundreds of books, so getting rid of a pile this big is pretty significant for me. Hopefully that will leave space on my shelves to find new books in 2026 and give these books a second chance to be loved by someone else. If you're curious how many books I'm getting rid of, 18 books, which I think is pretty good. So let me know your thoughts on any of the books that I've mentioned today, and I shall see you next time. Bye.